that Dynasty didn't ban that away here instead, because if you want to go with the Rona, if you're thinking of going the Rona, which does work into Blackfeather, you need to take some of the range away from them. The SpaceStation ban.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you leave it open, it's most likely that SpaceStation will ban it because they don't want you to pick it against the Blackfeather just because it's a top priority pick. So if you had already planned that you were going to go for this Rona, then you leave it open, forcing SpaceStation to ban it, and then you don't have to worry about going up against it.
Well, now SpaceStation is going to have to figure out something that will have that range to try and deal with the Rona. Maybe they end up flexing the Blackfeather into the jungle and go for a Scarf instead, but you cannot pick another melee carry if you're the side of SpaceStation here.
What I would actually prefer to see here from SpaceStation now to their part of countering this draft is put the Blackfeather in the jungle SCP, pick up a Vox and lane, and pick up something such as the Arden. Have a composition that can kite out the Rona instead of fighting her head on. I stood corrected last week when I said the best brawling composition was on the side of Blackfeather. It actually is always on the side of Rona if it's a triple melee versus triple melee.
Yeah, I mean, we saw during those team fights last weekend that Rona, once it's got that breaking point, if you can hit 3 members for a little while, you will stack up so quickly and just start annihilating health bars.
And I do like the Lance pick here because you do, again, have those Githian walls that are up very frequently, as well as the Impales to try and stop the Rona from being on top of your targets. So as long as this play from PT Lamb in the captain role, or sorry, from Clast, because it's over on SpaceStation side, is on point, they can keep this Rona at bay and prevent her from really being able to stack up as quickly as she's going to need to.
Exactly. I mean, their one condition here is going to be about keeping their range, keeping their distance, and with the CP Blackfeather in the jungle, they should be able to do that. So survive through the early game levels, get to your level 8, keep your distance at that point, and always use the last Githian walls to stun Rona. Not only are you going to be stunning the carry player from the side of Dynasty, but you're also going to be canceling her ultimate, the Red Mist, every single time she uses it. So SpaceStation, this draft has been incredible in my opinion. Both teams counterplaying so far.
It's going to be a Fortress as the final lock in here for Dynasty, so sending that one to the jungle, I'd assume, unless they want to do some kind of shenanigans with the Grace, but it feels most likely that that Fortress will go on into the jungle. What do we make of this composition with the Fortress rounding this out?
I kind of like the Fortress just because of the fact that it provides the extra move speed that this Rona could need to get onto a target. It's a little bit of a risky pick because you're still going into this melee, triple melee composition, and the Vox can just kind of dance around all day long against it. But if you're trying to get this Rona to be your hard carry, the Fortress can enable that.
It also should be able to scale fairly well going up against the CP Blackfeather in the jungle. Unless Blackfeather plays really aggressive, he should be able to get his levels and items, and that allows Fortress to be a strong pick late game. Again, this draft has been very intelligent draft coming out from both teams. I'm actually very surprised in their understanding of the meta and how to counterpick their opponents as this draft went on. Great adaptation.
All right, so my big question then, very quickly, what does Dynasty have to do to even up this series right here?
At Dynasty, they just need to play to their range advantage.
All right, we'll see if they can pull that one out during this game. It's time to get on into things. Let us know if you're supporting Dynasty or if you want SpaceStation to finish off their first series in 2-0 fashion. It's time to pass it back over to our casters and get into game number 2. It's Medic and Denominate.
Thank you very much, Munch. I'm joined by Denominate, and we're going to get into the second game of this series. Thus far today, we have only seen 2 O's. I'm sure SpaceStation Gaming will be looking to clean up this game as well. An interesting composition, you have to say, coming out here from Dynasty with the Fortress in the jungle, not something we always see. You more of a roamer. It looks like both the teams are going to face off in the middle of the jungle to start us off.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be our start. Now, the Fortress and the Rona do have a good bit of synergy, as well as when paired up with the AoE crowd control that comes out of PT Lamb, they can have an opportunity where they can lock Sneaky up. Rona can jump past with the Into the Fray. That's going to cause a area of slow that, Vox doesn't have free reign to walk through, at least if he's trying to avoid damage. As well as, obviously, that Holy Nova coming out can be detrimental to a carry as well. And what's incredibly important here is the amount of burst damage that a Rona can provide. It's going to be all about Joker trying to outperform Chef Capital here. Now, obviously, it is going to be Dynasty. They are down a game. They have to pull things together here. But if Blackfeather is allowed to just freely poke, if these odd points, especially once they get to level 8, can have some crystal power behind them. If he's just allowed to safely poke down targets, it's going to result in a War Treads coming out of class and probably Sneaky as well, where they can just chase down that crippled target and then capitalize as much as they want on the back of it. So I gotta say, I like the composition that SpaceStation had put together, as long as it's not hard engagements out of Dynasty.
Joker needs to try and dodge away from this, but I think he's going to be the first blood. It's first blood to Dynasty. 2 minutes in. We seem to have this track record of a really slow early game in the first one, and then the second game is just really quick, and we get tons of kills early on. So hopefully that continues. We saw it in the SK Fnatic series. We're seeing it here as the first blood goes down at 2 minutes. Class trying to knock PT Lamb back, but that Retribution does a lot of damage, and PT Lamb will force the healing flask out of Class. Chef Capital trying to jump in. Impale actually does land here, and Chef Capital needs to be a little bit wary as he takes some resonance bounces. SpaceStation Gaming unable to get a return kill after losing Joker early on in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, that, like you mentioned, that benediction coming out of Grace is so threatening in the early game, and we really see it there. And now the Joker did overstay his welcome quite a bit, going very deep into the enemy jungle, and that's the kind of thing he has to be careful about, especially in the early game. Before he has the Rose offensive, he's very susceptible to damage as well as crowd control, but as he hits that level 6 mark, he'll have a little bit easier of time getting in and out of fights. He does have to watch out for the burst that Rukumeza is going to have, though. He's very close to getting that Aftershock online, just a couple hundred gold away, and that's going to be where Fortress does start to take off with his mid-game aggression. Now, the fortresses that we see successful in the jungle position typically start off with a Dragon Blood and look to push the aggression early against a pick like a Crystal Blackfeather that takes time to ramp up. Didn't see that come out of Rukumeza here, so that's a little bit of a downfall on Dynasty Gaming. They were able to get the kill, but they're not able to get any kind of counter jungling started up. Now, Sneaky getting a little bit caught out here.
Jumped on by Rukumeza, but will just be able to Sonic Zoom his way to safety. The jump in from PT Lamb can't quite get the connection with the knockup, and Dynasty Gaming just continually harassing this lane as well. The Impale doesn't connect. Joker does come in from the side. Great Githian wall hits up all 3 members of Dynasty, but they will just be able to walk away. No damage really yet on SpaceStation Gaming, meaning that they cannot play out those kills, even though Class had set them up so effectively.
And that Githian wall specifically is one incredibly useful tool that SpaceStation has against this Rona. If Rona jumps in and goes to use that red mist, he can easily push her back out of the damaging radius that that ability has and protect Sneaky and the Joker quite consistently, and then they're going to have to look for a follow-up engage out of Rukumeza. And, you know, looking over at Dynasty, they do have a lot of mortal wounds in their kit, so the foe splitter coming out of Rona inflicts a mortal wound. Obviously, Fortress able to inflict a mortal wound as well. There's not any additional healing or realistic barrier that comes out of the side of SpaceStation, but if they can reduce some of that fountain healing, that's going to be where they're going to have to execute Sneaky. Is when he receives less healing, it's going to give him less sustain in these fights, and that's kind of key, is getting Sneaky down.
Rukumeza now has his Aftershock as well, so that will help them get Sneaky down, get a bit more burst coming out from that Fortress. Also level 6 that has the attack of the pack, but here comes the engage. Good double knock-up. There's the Githian wall. Healing flask used by Class as he runs away from the action. Dynasty Gaming jumping in. Chef Capital there as well. Great Rose offensive through the team. And now Chef Capital so low, but he's going to jump back in. Look at the damage on towards Sneaky in that backline. Somehow he survives. The heals just at the last moment will keep him alive. And those resonance bounces are doing work now. Rukumeza will manage to escape, but in the end, it's a 1-for-0 trade in favor of SpaceStation Gaming.
A 1-for-0 trade, and very important to make note, was PT Lamb actually had the fountain. They had the advantage for that fight, and they still stayed a little bit too far. Good timing out of Sneaky with that healing flask saved him on the brink of death. And that's SpaceStation taking down that first objective, and Dynasty Gaming, they were looking to stop the recall there, didn't quite make it in time, so everybody from SpaceStation there gonna make it out safely, as Sneaky now already has a level 5 infusion in pocket, likely gonna hold that as long as he can so he can get the highest level use out of it, but it has put him back on his poison ship.
Great Impale onto PT Lamb is going to cause his downfall as well. Sneaky, his second kill of the game, also a 20 CS lead in the lane, so he is pretty darn dominant at the moment, has that breaking point already finished, building up towards his next weapon power item as well. This is what you want to see if you're SpaceStation Gaming. You know, you've just signed on with a new organization. You were, of course, salty potatoes from last week, but you want to show that you deserve the position that you've got. You want to show that you deserve the wins that you got in the last couple of weeks, and that you can challenge. And to be able to challenge, you have to win these games against lesser opponents. You know, Dynasty are in the challenge battles. They're looking like, well, they're in the challenge battle region at the moment, the challenge zone. And they're looking as if they're going to stay there for the rest of the split. So if you're SpaceStation Gaming, you're very confident with the way you're performing at the moment, and you need to keep up this tempo, and this 2,000 gold lead sets you up very well to do that.
Yeah, it definitely does. And now we did mention the, challenge zone. The challenge battles have changed a little bit. It is the bottom 2 teams now, not the bottom 3. So with them sitting 10 points up over the competition, that would mean that either Clash or Calamity Reborn would have to make it to the finals in both weeks to pass them in points. Now that's highly unlikely, so Dynasty should be safe as far as staying out of that challenger zone. But they still obviously want to deny as many points away from SpaceStation as they can. They want to use this as a good practice towards the next season as well. So, a good performance here might not have a lot on the line, but for your pride and for obviously just, proving that you are a better team, that you are better than this 6th seed mark that you have next to your name on the tournament standings. And the competition is actually really close for the middle couple teams here. For SpaceStation, Mouse Sports, Fnatic, Dynasty, we're very close in points, and we're very close in skill level at this point as well.
Yeah, I think I just got Ash and Dynasty confused for a second there. My apologies. Dynasty aren't in that challenge battle zone, as you say. I do want to still keep getting those points in case. But you never know. Something might happen. Superior runs from teams past. With a 2,000 gold lead now, you have to think that SpaceStation Gaming have this game pretty much locked up for the time being. Poison Shiv finished on Sneaky. You've got the Aftershock as well on that CP Blackfeather, starting to scale up pretty effectively, and it's becoming harder for Dynasty to actually take fights that are advantageous to them. PT Lamb trying to help him out by getting himself an Atlas Pauldron after the fountain, but looks like SpaceStation Gaming are just stepping in from the side, getting a bit of damage down on towards that Grace. Here comes the engage. Great Githian wall once again. So many great Githian walls in this game. Lance doing absolute work. Sneaky kiting back. Stutter steppering to supreme kill, and that means that they will get the kill on towards Chef Capital as well. Dynasty Gaming limping away, just 2 members, but SpaceStation Gaming can just push in and look for some damage on this turret.
Yeah, they might even look for the whole turret, as all members are quite healthy still. They have a sizable wave here as well. The Joker does have the Aftershock complete, does a decent chunk to objectives, but he's likely working into the Shatterglass or the Dragon's Eye for his next item. Possibly a Broken Myth. We'll have to see what he upgrades the crystal bit into to know for sure. And the Joker is looking like he's working towards either an Atlas Pauldron or a Metal Jacket. I think the Metal Jacket is the better item choice into a Rona, specifically because when a Rona does get Atlas Pauldron, she's almost certainly just going to go ahead and throw out that red mist. She doesn't rely on attack speed during that time, and you can actually bypass the whole duration of that Atlas.
And Dynasty Gaming looking for a little bit of a trade here as they go into the jungle. So much damage already falling on towards the Joker. The Fountain heals him up just enough to get him out with the Mortal Wounds. And the Great Githian Wall once again by the class pushes them back. Chef Capital's not done yet though, going for Sneaky. Wait for it, does get the silence up, and Sneaky's doing so much work in this fight. SpaceStation Gaming somehow coming out with the win, but great play by Rikumeza to take down 2. Class goes in for the double for himself. Great play by that captain, and SpaceStation Gaming are able to win out the fight in the end, but it looks so close for so long.
Yeah, it looked very close, and now with an ace wave, a double ace wave, in fact, pushing up towards this turret, it's going to take some time away from Rikumeza and Chef Capital, as they're going to have to defend the turret away from the... I mean, look how much damage is already ramped up without any heroes here. That turret is down below half health at this point, or right about half health. So that is an absolute huge, even though it was only the captain that stayed alive, Classed, because of the ace wave, able to get a massive portion of damage down. If it would have been Joker or Sneaky surviving there at the end, it very likely would have been a whole turret. But you got to be happy with what you got. As Rona, we are at this 11-minute mark and does not, just now finished the second tier 3 item in that breaking point. And this is a big opportunity where Chef Capital can start to ramp up the damage very quickly, especially if he can get a red mist down that's hitting multiple targets. which can be fairly easy to do with the Blackfeather, who's obviously wanting to commit to the fight, the Lance, who's going to want to commit to the fight. But at the same time, that Githian wall you have to be worried about, and he's a whole offensive item down on Sneaky, as well as some defense. So that's kind of the trade-off here on this Rona, is not having as much defense is a little bit counteracted by the fact that she can build up fortified health, but Classed able to cancel that ability out pretty easily.
He is, and now with 3 completed items on towards Sneaky, we've seen how good his stutter steppering is on this Vox. I'm sure he's going to continue to play as effectively through these next fights. Infusion finished on Joker. He's at level 10 Infusion alongside Sneaky. No Infusions yet onto Dynasty, so if a fight erupts soon, SpaceStation Gaming would have the advantage. I mean, they are 3,000 gold ahead. Dynasty still don't get an Infusion on that rotation towards the shop, so this is what SpaceStation want. They want to go in. Chef Capital takes a negative trade against the Joker. PT Lamb looking for that engage, jumps in, great wait for it, it gets a triple silence, double stun from the Githian wall, and now they're all trying to get onto Sneaky, but look at the kite, look at the moves, look at the plays as he jumps all the way back the fountain, too little, too late, and SpaceStation Gaming are going to clean this one up, plays out of this world from Sneaky. PT Lamb trying to get away, but a great Githian wall. I've said that so many times this game. He has been absolutely on point with the Impale. A double, an ace. SpaceStation Gaming clean up the Crystal Sentry and might even be able to push towards those crystal turrets off this push.
Now, they should at least get the choke point turret down. It's already quite hurt. They have an ace wave coming up. They have all 3 members. But now with Chef Capital coming up and Rukumeza coming up, they don't want to go a little bit too far. They are all very healthy. But with Dynasty Gaming being so close to their base, they could easily walk back into that fountain, get some additional healing, come right back into the fight. And that far away, that's not something that the side of SpaceStation Gaming have going for them. So they take the smart route, they rotate down to the jungle shop. Sneaky has picked up a Journey Boots now, looking to be able to constantly keep his speed up in these fights. As they're rotating up on Dynasty here again, can Class find a good impale?
Right on point there from the Joker. Chef Capital has got onto Sneaky. The wait for it once again. A look at Sneaky. The Journey Boots just gets him back out of the fight. Impale onto Rukumeza in that front line. They're trying to jump in, but another great Githian wall. And this man do anything but hit great Githian walls? I don't think so. Still, Chef Capital goes in, and they do eventually get the kill. And Dynasty Gaming maybe have turned this one around. It's onto the Joker. Rukumeza low. Chef Capital low as well. Rukumeza just about escaping. Another superlative Githian wall from Class. Knocks them both into the wall. Joker's going to try and chase Rukumeza out here. Doesn't quite have the Rose offensive, still 12 seconds left on that, and on point might connect, but I think Rukumeza just a little bit too far away. Joker catches onto the Crystal Sentry. Look at the supportal combat, the roams up against each other here as PT Lamb getting chased out by Class. It ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, but SpaceStation Gaming still somehow come out on top.
Yeah, I think in the actual gold trade-off, it does end up going over to the favor of Rukumeza as far as, who got more for the single kill. But with the fact that SpaceStation Gaming are going to go ahead and take a gold mine as well, it's going to extend their lead at this point. They're already 4K ahead in gold, and now they are sitting at almost 6,000 gold as they collect that full gold mine payout there. The Joker does have his Broken Myth online and is working into a 3rd offensive item now. The Aegis is complete, so he has that sustainability into Rukumeza. But we've been able to have Dynasty actually find a lot of damage in fights. They're just not able to secure Sneaky. They did get him in that last one, but a 3-man impale coming out of Class, followed up by a 3-man on point from the Joker, did so much damage to that squishy, the low remaining health targets, and they were able to even things out and eventually take away some farm as well. 15 minutes in the game, Kraken is up on the board and ready to go. This is still anybody's game, man.
There is a 6,000 gold lead for SpaceStation Gaming, though. They do have that extra gold in that back pocket. Got a Broken Myth finished on towards the Joker as well. All he needs to do is get a good engage, but Chef Capital is the one jumping in onto Sneaky. There's the attack of the pack as well. The kite back. Great Githian wall once again. Class the wait for it comes out and silences them all as well. Sneaky still getting jumped on though. The fountain, the Crystal Sentry here to try and help out. It's now a 4v3 as SpaceStation Gaming try and make the plays, but Sneaky is dead. And that is great for Dynasty. They'll pop their fountain in a little bit later. And Chef Capital should be able to heal back up. The Githian wall knocks them both back. Joker trying to kite around the fight, but it looks like he's going to be the next to fall. The Impale lands, but Joker just about escapes. Eventually gets taken down by Rukumeza. And Dynasty Gaming now able to start winning these fights, even with a gold lead. SpaceStation Gaming getting caught out on that backline. Great play by Dynasty. They get the ace. And they can look towards the Kraken as well.
Yeah, and you know, fortunately they were able to get that ace. They were all a little bit too low to actually safely start up that Kraken. The attacks coming down from the Kraken likely would have killed them. But Rhoda coming over the wall, they're able to find K-Last. The kill actually, I believe, went on to Riku Meza. But you know, they get a free Kraken now. There are 4 turrets between them and a victory, which means this push will not be the end of the game unless if they can find a pretty much a miracle ace to get this Kraken through. Journey Boots complete for Chef Capital now. He will have that ability to re-engage multiple times in a fight. And they are taking down the first of 5 turrets between themselves in a victory. And it is Sneaky and the Joker already working on that health bar. Here we go, Riku Meza is in.
Great. Githyan Wall once again. The wait for it comes out. Chef Capital having to run all the way away. PT Lamb down to about 2/3 of his HP, but SpaceStation Gaming do have to turn their eyes back towards the Kraken, clear that out as quickly as possible. Like it's only going to get a couple of turrets off this actually, as Dynasty have given up the Ghost on that one. They'll take the Crystal Sentry away. Kraken down to less than half now, and if he gets this turret, that'll be good for them. If not, SpaceStation Gaming will definitely think they've come out with a win here, but I think the Kraken will get just enough attacks in, not quite. One last auto would have done it, but SpaceStation Gaming able to stop it in its tracks and maintain that 6,000 gold lead.
Yeah, just a couple seconds longer on that Kraken's health bar, that would have been a drop turret, but they hold on with a thread. And one thing that's really turned a couple of these last fights is we have 2 Atlas Pauldrons complete for PT Lamb and Riku Meza, and we talked about the Atlas Pauldron not being very effective against the Rona earlier because of the red mist. That's not the same case for Sneaky. So once PT Lamb and Riku Meza get in, if they stagger their Atlases properly, they can really negate a lot of that damage that can potentially come out of Sneaky, as well as reduce his ability to ramp his damage up through a fight. And that really gives some more sustainability to the side of Dynasty Gaming. If there's less damage coming in, obviously your tanky frontline in this Rona is going to be able to excel pretty heavily. Riku Meza doesn't have a block or any shield, but is working into a 3rd offensive item, and they are looking just purely to burst down Sneaky. Once Sneaky dies, the Joker should not be able to pull off a 2v3 with a Crystal Blackfeather. Crystal Blackfeather, all about the poke and then coming in for maybe a final execution, but does not have hugely sustainable damage throughout a fight, especially into heroes that have Mortal Wound that will reduce the barrier he gives himself with that on point.
Gold lead shrinking ever so slightly, down to about 3,000. Dynasty Gaming are in a strong position to take this series all the way to that final game. SpaceStation Gaming, I'm sure, don't want to go there yet. PT Lamb down to half, the jump in once again by Chef Capital. The block on the Githyan Wall, but PT Lamb is so low, he's going to have to try and use that Divine Intervention. Capital healed up, 800 HP back on towards that carry. Not enough to get all the way onto the backline of Sneaky, and Dynasty Gaming unable to find the engage. Run away back to their base, but still, positive sign for Dynasty at the moment. They keep winning out these fights, even with PT Lamb chunked down. They are able to find the fights that they want.
Yeah, and important to make note in that last fight was both PT Lamb and Clast both held onto their fountains, so those both will be ready to go for the next skirmish that breaks out. But K-Last has also picked up a Shiver Steel, and that's an item that we've seen fallen off the meta for quite some time now. You see it come back in here and there, but the nice thing about the Lance is his basic attacks can hit multiple targets. Hold on, here we go.
All in on that engage. Chef Capital all the way onto the backline, the mortal wounds, but the Vox still alive, and here comes the turnaround. SpaceStation Gaming get the stun. Riku Meza doing a lot of work. Sneaky goes low, the wait for it. Sneaky's gonna have to dodge in the midst of the fight. Chef Capital is so low. Another Githyan Wall only gets a stun onto one. Riku Meza dies, and now PT Lamb solo as well. They killed off all the members. Dynasty Gaming fall. SpaceStation Gaming come out on top.
Yeah, and with these 40-second death timers, this is SpaceStation Gaming just looking to hopefully close out the game here. Timers are ticking down, and taking these turrets will start to reduce those timers as well. So they're going to have to take these turrets down quickly if they want to close the game out off this push. If they're not able to close it out, it could be a risky push. But, you know, with the ace minions coming in, they should have no problem. It brings down those barriers. They're splitting the damage fairly well. And now all 3 members are on to the Vein Crystal. And that is SpaceStation Gaming, newly acquired team, going to go ahead and pick up their first win underneath this organization name.
2-0 for them. They take the series and they go through to the semi-finals tomorrow. Great stuff. A little bit tentative in the middle there, but they were able to finally find the fight that they wanted. Sneaky kiting through the team so incredibly effectively at the end there. We're going to hand it back across towards our analyst, Munch, Irakizar, and Tasty Bacon.